Over the past couple of months, I've been diving into the 3D era of Mortal Kombat, specifically the mini-game modes those games had. Revisiting these has been a blast, and this week on Rayl Deal Games, I'm looking at the final mini-game, Chess Combat. In this video, I'll be explaining why Chess Combat should return in MK13. I make new gaming videos every single Wednesday and Friday, and if you all like the video today, consider smashing that like button, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell. I go back to Mortal Kombat once a month because it's one of my favorite gaming franchises. Chess Combat is one of the more interesting and easier to recreate modes Midway ever developed for their Mortal Kombat games. As the mode's name suggests, two players play a game of Mortal Kombat chess where, instead of just taking pieces like normally when you attack, the players play matches of Mortal Kombat to resolve conflict. The available pieces in Chess Combat are the leader, which stands in for the king, the champion, which stands in for the queen, the sorcerer, which stands in for the bishop and gets different special abilities based on which bishop it is, the shifter, which stands in for the rook, and grunts, which stand in for pawns and knights. If NRS were to bring this mode back, I'd like for them to separate the pawn and knight roles, giving us another piece to play around with, especially with how intriguing some of the design in this game mode is. Let's take a look at each of these pieces individually to break down their mechanics, starting with the leader. It's important to understand one key feature of Chess Combat before we get too deep though, and that's how health works in this game mode. Not all pieces are made the same, as the higher value pieces, like the leader and champion, start with a full health bar, whereas lower quality pieces, like the grunts, start out with a partial health bar. This is done to better replicate the balancing of the actual game, since player skill is really going to determine who's going to win any given match of Chess Combat. This detail does play into the core loop of Chess Combat, as it is possible for a battle to stalemate should the timer run out before a player can win. In this way, there's a bit of attrition designed to Chess Combat that actually works super well with the Mortal Kombat theming of the minigame. The death traps that exist in Mortal Kombat Deception show up in this mode too, if the player selected the appropriate level to play on. A change I would like to see if this mode ever did come back is variable stage selection based on the place the characters reside, almost like how field zones in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses work. That would actually provide the sorcerers, which I'll talk about more in depth later, an extra spell each, one where they could buff allies for being on particular spaces, and one where they could debuff enemies for being on other spaces. As for the leader, the mechanics of this piece are simple. They have a full health bar, are immune to instant death effects, including the kill spell sorcerers can do, and death traps within the matches themselves. Just like in chess, if this character dies, the game ends. However, it ends in a Mortal Kombat fashion within this minigame, with the bloody finality of a fatality. In terms of movement, the leader moves in the same way a king does, one omnidirectional space at a time, and they can be used to attack the other player's pieces quite well. Something else that matters in Chess Combat is how each player can only pick any particular Mortal Kombat character once for each of their roles. This limitation on player choice benefits the minigame greatly, as it forces each player to have multiple characters they can play decently well, and they have to decide where to allocate their mains. Should they make their mains the grunts so that they're using them more, even if it means each particular piece dies in one combo, or do they make their main their king so that when it comes down to the wire, they can actually put up a decent fight? These metagame decisions that take place before a game of Chess Combat even begins is one of the best things about the mode, and within the context of the internet age we're living in, this one thing would definitely cause some major discussion within the Mortal Kombat community. This is one of the biggest reasons I think this mode should return in MK13, as minigames like this are what's going to add real longevity to the game, something I'm sure WB wants. This is even before bringing up the fact that Chess Combat Online would legit be so sick, other than the fact that rage quitting would be even more obnoxious in this mode, and considering the nature of anonymity and humanity, I'm not sure how NRS would ever fix such a thing. There's probably a community-based solution where the community of players who love this game mode just ostracize anyone who rage quits. With this context, the role of the leader in Chess Combat is quite intense, and it gets even more so when the champions are considered. Champions, just like queens, are the most powerful pieces on the board. They have insane movement, full health bars, and each player gets 2 of them. They are also immune to the sorcerer's kill spell, which makes them even more difficult to deal with. Pairing the champion with a main creates this game loop where the grunts essentially act as defensive barriers, sandbags who slow down the opponent's advance, while the champion begins wiping the floor with everything else. Since I've mentioned them a few times at this point, it seems like a good idea to finally explain what sorcerers do. Just like like in chess, there are two of these bishop class pieces and they start out on a different color of the chessboard, moving in the same manner bishops do. The big difference, and this is a massive one, between sorcerers and bishops is that sorcerers get a list of single-use spells to use in every match of chess combat. Each sorcerer also gets a different set of skills, with one of them being more like a white mage and the other practicing black magic. The white magic sorcerer gets the following spells: Heal, Teleport, Resurrect, and Protect. Heal restores a piece's health to full. Teleport transports any grunt, shifter, or champion to any unoccupied space on the board. Resurrect revives any grunt, shifter, or champion that has fallen in combat, and Protect shields the targeted piece from being attacked for a turn. Each of these skills are extremely powerful and lead to a lot of strategic decisions within a game of chess combat, something that is otherwise entirely based on player skill with a variety of characters. These sorcerers present each player with a choice. Do they blow all of their spells in quick succession to ensure they get to use them all, or do they save their spells for an important moment, almost like a catch-up mechanic? Losing the sorcerer will eliminate the player's access to these spells, so either path is a valid option. The black magic sorcerer gets 4 spells of their own: Kill, Exchange, Sacrifice, and Imprison. Kill allows the sorcerer to automatically kill any grunt or shifter in a match. Exchange swaps any grunt, shifter, or champion with another, changing their positioning on the board. Sacrifice causes the death of one of a player's own pieces to restore health of another of theirs, potentially allowing them to heal up their champion or king. And Imprison stops the targeted piece from moving and from being attacked. Before a match of chess combat begins, each player secretly places a trap down on their side of the board, and if one of their opponent's pieces moves onto the trapped space, they instantly die. The dark magic sorcerer is able to weaponize this trap with the exchange skill, which essentially gives one of their pieces good positioning while also deleting an opponent's piece, which is more often than not going to be one of their champions. This, along with the area control gameplay caused by the power cells, which are areas on the map that heal whatever piece is on them every turn, turns the board itself into a key mechanic of chess combat's gameplay. The shifter, which replaces the rook, is one of the more unique and interesting pieces too, as it copies whatever enemy it starts combat with, unless that enemy is also a shifter. This piece is interesting because it means that what characters one player selects for their pieces can be potentially exploited by the other player, and which character each player selects as their shifter is also an interesting decision. Should they pick the character they've played the least, or should it be one of the characters in their pocket they know alright? This piece and how it works is why I think it would be cool for players to essentially pick their pieces in a turn-based fashion. This would make it so that player 1 could slow roll their champion pick in the hopes that their opponent picks player 1's main as their grunt or something like that. This is just another element of chess combat's design that would lead to more strategic metagame decision making. And finally, the last piece is the grunts. These are pretty simple, as they are the weakest in the minigame with the lowest health pool. The trade-off with these guys is that there are way more of these pieces than any other in the mode, and that does create an interesting decision for each player. Do they make their main the grunt so that they can use them more, or should they pick their second or third best character? As you can see, the decision-making process of chess combat matches adds a lot of complexity to the side mode. And that's partly why I think a mode like this would be crazy successful in a fighting game, especially the next Mortal Kombat game. Personally, I'd be playing this mode all the time, as it promotes my propensity to learn multiple characters, hones in on my love of strategic games, and allows me to do so in a Mortal Kombat game. And I don't think I would be the only one. That's the video, my guys. What do you all think? Should chess combat return in MK13? Let's discuss in the comments below, and while you're down there, do me a solid by smashing that like button, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell. I make new gaming videos every Wednesday and Friday, and once a month I put out something about Mortal Kombat. Typically my MK videos are unlike anything else you'll come across on YouTube. Consider checking out one of the other videos on the screen if they suit your fancy. Regardless of what you choose to do, thank you for keeping it real with Rayl Deal Games. Have an awesome day, my friend.